Hi, I'm Diane, your host of Epic Conversations. Thanks for joining us. We're back again with my husband, John, and we're covering a difficult subject called the loss of a loved one. And we talked, and this is the second part, this is part 2, and we were going through various questions about grieving. You know, we went through spirit, soul, and body. We are a spirit, we have a soul, and we live in a body. But it's the soul we're focusing on this episode, and the soul is your mind, will, and emotions. And that's where a lot of the grief, feelings, emotions, and everything are coming from.
Can I interject?
Yes.
No, we just recently came back from Massachusetts, where Diane's mom had just passed. And Diane is actually still grieving. She's actually in the beginning phase. When we went back east, Diane's mom was in a hospital. We weren't able to actually go in and see her. We were still out here in Colorado. And when we went back there, so she wasn't able to physically be connected with her mom. And so we were back there cleaning up her house. And it was kind of strange. We're in a house where her mom would be always in the kitchen. She's not there, and like we're there. And so, you know, we're still going. Diane's still going through it, and myself a little bit. And so we thought we would share this with you out there, so maybe it would help other people that if they're going through the grieving process and they don't understand, why am I doing this? Why can't I, open up a mail, pay a bill, or hold a civil conversation with people? Why can't I? What's going on with me? You know, my husband had passed away. You know, your husband may have passed. Our wife had passed away, and you're still going through this process. So we're going through this together. We are in real life to help you folks out there.
Thank you. That's a great way of putting it. And you know, not only I wasn't able to be there for my mom when she passed. By the time we got there, it all happened so fast. But then we had to clean out the house, and that was another loss because we have to sell the house. And this actually was still going through the cleaning out. They put the dumpster yesterday.
And I'd like to jump in here. Mm-hmm. Marrying Diane 28 plus years ago, she's very detailed. I mean, she put tape and labeled this and labeled that. I'm like, okay, if she was my mother, I think I had my underwear labeled. And what happened going through Diane's parents' home, that's where she gets it from. Her mom and her dad were so detailed. And I found light bulbs, and I actually named the washing machine. You know, back in the 60s and 70s, washing machines in the back where the controllers are, they would have a fluorescent light bulb. And Diane's dad saved them, and they were labeled. And as I'm in there cleaning out, I'm looking up to heaven saying, Vinny, why do you still have this light bulb? You don't have the machine anymore, but you still have the light bulb, but it doesn't fit any other place. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Funny. Well, you mentioned too, John, that grief does affect your brain, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
You know, and it's like when you're going through grieving, there's a flood of, they call them neurochemicals and hormones that dance around in your head. And it's like, what's going on? And there's a disruption. There can be in those hormones, and that it results in specific symptoms. So if you find yourself, when you're going through a loss, disturbed sleep, of course, some of these could apply to other areas too, but, loss of appetite, a fatigue and anxiety. And when the symptoms converge in your brain, your brain takes a hit. We're going to cover some things with Dr. Caroline Leaf in another episode. But how does grief affect your decision making?
Well, I think the mind is focused. I'm not sure how to put it. I just realized that when my mom passed away, and people I knew who had died and they were really close to me, I just couldn't concentrate. I couldn't focus. Mm-hmm. And I can remember reading stories in Reader's Digest of wives who had their husbands killed in Vietnam, and they couldn't understand why they couldn't pay a bill. Mm-hmm. Not the money issues. They just couldn't focus on writing out the check. Because look at the check and it has the wife and the husband's name on it, and it bring more grief. Because when your mom passed away, it was a slow, drawn out thing. But when it happens like that. Let me do it again. There we go. That's even more of a shock.
Yeah. You could say, when I was researching, it said grief it causes the confusion, and it can influence your financial decision making. Probably might be a good idea if you don't have to make an immediate financial decision at the time you're going through that major grief. You may want to wait. And this is because the brain is functioning differently, and there's confusion, memory loss, and again, it's that cognitive disconnect, as they would call it. But what should you eat when grieving?
Eat whatever you want. Pizza, ice cream, Snickers bar, Snickers ice cream. No, that's what I would do. But it's not right. You want to eat good vegetable salads. Go to Olive Garden, get some salad. I'm kidding you out there, but not about Olive Garden. But yeah, you want to eat properly, eat a well-balanced meal.
Why do you want to eat properly?
It's because you want to take care of your body. You want to take care of yourself, because during stress, it can make you get sick.
Yeah.
And by making sure you're taking vitamins and getting plenty of rest, and that helps out.
Rest. What happened to me when we were cleaning out the house, we were just under so much stress, excuse me, that I had this vertigo thing where I got up, remember one morning, and the whole room was spinning around like you felt like you were on a ship and you felt seasick, and we prayed, took authority. But to be honest with you, I had to go back to sleep. I went and slept for another hour, and I woke up and 80% of the symptoms had disappeared. And the reason why I couldn't sleep longer was there was a realtors coming. There was different appointments that we couldn't rest even if we wanted to. But just that rest is important. So it is helpful with what you eat. Obviously, if you just want to eat ice cream, there's no condemnation. But it's a good tip that you may want to keep your body, help it along, in other words, with some good balanced meals as best you can.
At the same time, good friends will stop by and deliver food and help you out, because you're not really, your brain is not functioning 100% in the right direction. And so to cook food, you're talking on the phone, you can be burning the food. So if somebody prepares a meal and delivers it, you put it in the microwave, and it's just make it real easy.
That's And
the key thing is also to remember those people who have helped you. During the initial time, you're still numb sometimes, and as time progresses on, you will remember that those people who are your close friends really helped you out.
That's right. And we had people pitching in for us. Remember, we had people dropping off meals and things
people,
like that.
when we were gone, as we had people here to watch the house.
Yeah. And Tweety and Peppy.
And they took care of Peppy and Tweety quite well.
And how do you move forward? Now, we talk about all these things, how it affects you, but how are we going to move forward, John?
Well, there's a period of time when you have to let it run its course, and I think re-engage in life. Don't just sit back in life and let life pass you by. You've got to just jump out and go to school and become, I'm thinking like, go to and jump out of planes or something. Do something bold. Do something.
How about talking to somebody who cares?
Yeah, good friends, close friends. You want to talk to them, and in some cases, your family members. Other family members you may not want to talk to them because they may not be ready to stop the grieving process, and that can cause you to go flip back into it. Yeah. So if it's time to move on. And close friends and people that you can trust. I know that when my mother died, if I talk to my sister or my dad, it's almost like regurgitating, and it brings me back to that time. I'm sure if that makes sense, but
so it's good to have friends that you could talk to, family, and if you have a therapist or counselor or something, a good Christian
pastor
counselor,
of church,
a pastor of the church, right? Somebody would be really helpful. And what I've read and heard so much too is that walking helps grief, doesn't it? Just taking a walk.
I guess so.
But when I was reading that, they were saying walking with someone.
Okay.
Because there's a tendency to want to isolate when you're grieving, and that's okay for a while, but you don't want to get withdrawn, right?
Well, good friends will understand that and will go in there and like, hey, we're having a party. Why don't you come? No, I don't want to come. And then they come to your house and they take each arm and lift you up and out you go.
But and that's important, right? You have somebody to pull you out. But I was talking about the walking. I find for me, walking is therapeutic. I enjoy going for a walk, and I would go for a walk and pray.
I personally
and I drag you along with me sometimes.
Because I walk so much at work.
I know.
And so walking at home, it's a sacrificial walk.
It is. I know it is. I know, but we like to walk together. So what's the difference now between grieving and mourning? Sometimes we would hear these terms, mourning in the Bible or grieving. It's like, what's the difference?
One's in the morning. You can mourn the loss of a person. I think the mourning will make room, and then I'm not sure.
Well, grieving is the internal thoughts and feelings. And the mourning is the external expression of what's going on the inside and outside yourself. So, we've been talking a lot about grief. Does grief have a purpose?
I would say so, yes. Good grief.
And what's the good grief of Charlie Brown? The ultimate goal of grief and mourning is to take you beyond the initial reactions to your loss. Mm-hmm. And it's a therapeutic, is to get you to a place where you can live life in a healthy way, right? Wouldn't you say? So you move on after a big loss. So here's some points and practical tips that would help you. You have these too. Let yourself feel your emotions. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to have emotions. Many Christians feel, you got to just... Well, you don't want the emotions to rule you, but it's okay to feel them. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember I took a time off yesterday to just do that very thing. Not that I was planning it, but, as the day went on, it'd be like, when you go to the ocean, right? The wave would come in and you'd ride the wave, and then it would crash. And then you wait, and then another wave would come and you'd ride the wave and it would crash. And it's not something that you plan to happen, but all of a sudden, I'm going through the day trying to relax and get things done, and you'd feel, you'd feel a wave, and then something, you just have a couple tears to shed them, and then there's this release. Mm-hmm. And then another couple hours will go by, and it's just here comes another wave. Sometimes you're not even thinking about it. Sometimes you might be. It might be some other losses. It's like, I found that when you have one loss, there's a bunch of others that remind you, of the previous ones. Mm-hmm. And they kind of all come like a tsunami sometimes. But the other thing, another tip is to tell people how you feel. And I say, not that you're going to live by your feelings or be ruled by them, but if sometimes it's okay to express them. I feel this. And sometimes, what do they say? There's nothing hidden that shall not be revealed, concealed that shall not be made known. And then other times, sometimes if you confess your faults one to another, you'll be healed. So sometimes just saying it out loud, and then you hear yourself, it almost sounds ridiculous sometimes. But sometimes you just got to say it, and then you have your friend, oh, okay. And they don't even have to say anything. And then you realize, I know I'm not, quote, supposed to feel that way. But you got to just get it out somehow. And, you don't have to belabor the point. You have to say it just once. But anyway, the other third point is to turn to people who care about you most. And we talked about that because it's okay to be allowed to express your feelings. There should not be no should be. You should be over this by now, or you shouldn't be thinking that, or you shouldn't be.
Excuse me.
Everyone's journey is unique, wouldn't you say? And I wanted you to talk about how you processed. You explained to me about this board with pegs on it. And
how do you describe how the brain works? Scary. And the only way I can explain to somebody, imagine you have a wall that's a mile high and 2 miles long, and in that there's like 15 trillion round pegs, but somewhere there's a square peg, and so my mind is going over and over and over and over and over, and trying to understand. You have a problem. You want to go. My mind goes over and over and over, trying to look for an answer. Does that answer fit this? No. Move on. And to explain it in words, it's like having a big wall with square pegs. But somewhere the answer is, and the answer happens to be a round peg. And so that's how I explain how my brain's functioning. So I'm taking information, trying to fill the gap. Does this feel good? Does this information help and solve the problem? And the problem may be the loss of a person. And I'm trying to fill the void to understand, or not fill the void, but trying to understand what it is and how I can fix it and what can I plug into that. I'm not sure if that makes any sense.
Yeah, see, to you, because you're real analytical and you use your brain, to think of things, for you, that helps you process the grief. I have never thought that, but my processing is different. And neither of them are wrong, it's just different. And so you're unique.
Well, I've actually seen pictures on the internet and followed up and researched it. And they'll see a young woman with a blanket, and she's at the cemetery of her husband who was killed in Afghanistan or Iraq, and she's just laying literally on the grave, and how she's in agony. And I've also seen recently of a dog. He goes to the cemetery. He knows exactly which one to go to, and he just sits there and like kind of mopes, cries. You can believe it?
Yeah.
And
once you go through, you realize, well, I may never see my dog again, but I could get another one. Or I may not see this person again in the earth, but if they're a believer, I will see him again in heaven. Like we have Lisa, Isaac, and Jesse, our two miscarriages and one tubal. I think about them almost most of the holidays because to me they're part of my family that I never had. And I will see them again in heaven, and I think about, wonder what it's going to be like to see Lisa, Isaac, and Jesse.
I can simply say this.
What?
I don't have to change diapers.
We won't have to change any diapers, I know. All right, and the fourth point is to take care of yourself. I know when we were
eating properly. Eating properly, getting proper rest, and taking care of yourself.
And when we were at my mom's cleaning out the house just recently, I took like 3 Epsom salt baths. I just, your muscles are so stressed that I just relaxed, and it helps. Simple little things like that could help. If that's not your thing, that's fine, but we're just trying to offer some tips. And then encourage yourself is the final one, in positive things. Can you think of something positive?
You got your mom?
The thinking, and processing a loss, we encourage ourselves with positive things. Maybe go watch a good movie, or
yeah, it could be. Something.
what can you?
Go in a canoe, go out fishing.
Yeah.
Whatever you enjoy to do. But I would simply say, after a period of time of mourning and grief, re-engage in life.
Right.
Have the friends who trust you and love you. They will help you, and without them knowing it, they will actually pull you out and help you re-engage in life.
And that's important because that's the whole purpose of grief, is to re-engage in life. And there's nothing wrong with grieving. You don't want to short circuit it, because I don't need to go through this. I'll just go on with life. Well, it'll probably show up in other areas because you can't really stuff it. And I remember Caroline Leaf was talking about, we're going to cover her more in another episode, about, those stages when you go through the denial, the anger, the bargaining, the depression, and the acceptance. What happens is you think, okay, I reached the acceptance stage. Well, it starts over again sometimes, as other
Everybody's
things
different.
Trigger it, right. And you can be in different stages at different times. There's no particular order, is what she was saying. So we hope that, did you have anything else before we close? We hope that was helpful.
Well, it's really good. Snickers ice cream bars, really good.
Yeah, the ice cream always works good for the soul. Or chicken soup, that was the other thing. I know, chicken soup and ice cream, you know. But chicken soup, I kept buying this homemade chicken soup. Remember that? There was a restaurant that was local.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they had homemade noodles, homemade chicken soup, Italian. I must have had it like every day. Chicken soup for the soul, chicken soup for the belly, chicken soup, chicken soup, chicken soup. I always
They
had a
made
lot of
good
chicken
veal
soup.
parmesan.
Yeah,
Real
and he
veal.
was eating the veal parmesan. So that was good. Well, anyway, we hope these tips were very helpful for you. We do have more episodes coming up on the loss, and hopefully you have more of a positive perspective to it. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. In the meantime, you know, have an epic day in the Lord. Hi, I'm Diane Grubis, and I've started a ministry, and I want to bless you. I'm so excited about it. DianeGrubis.com. Go to the website and check out all the wonderful things that we have in store for you. We have some great epic conversations with some powerful guests and some teachings, free downloads. And we would love to have you join us, love to have you partner with us. We appreciate you, and we want to hear from you. So check out the website, and thank you.